An interesting start to the week here. What could be a relatively busy week for markets. Not so busy today. Pretty much flat on the day for most of the major indices. You see the S&P 500 there. That really was emblematic of what we saw across the board. Of course, a lot of folks in this market really waiting for those big inflation reports. PPI tomorrow, CPI here in the U.S. on Wednesday. The two-year yield right now camped out just under 4.9 as everyone awaits to see what happens next. Now, if you were looking for activity in the equity space, you were going to find it in two places. You found it in biotechs, which have really been on a tear for the last month or so. As an index, they were up about 1.3% here on the day. And stocks that have a lot of short interest also getting a big rally. The main ETFs that tracks that up 5% here on the day, Scarlett. And I think a lot of that was driven by one or two big names.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at some of the big movers on the day. And you can see some familiar names if you go all the way back to 2021. It certainly feels like 2021 all over again. GameStop, AMC Entertainment, and Hertz Global, each climbing by double digits. Keith Gill, better known as Roaring Kitty, posted a drawing of a guy leaning forward with a gaming controller. That sent all these names soaring. You had GameStop surging as much as 130%. That's the most since early 2021. AMC climbing as much as 300%. Now, I did find one decliner. It was a little bit hard to find, but Fortrea Holdings, ticker FTRE, losing 15%, its biggest drop ever. Last week, the healthcare services company said it was delaying its first quarter earnings report because it needed to sort out some accounting issues. It needed more time to sort that out. Today, it reported a revenue miss and also cut its full year outlook. So the response was a punishing loss of 15%. Now, our top story this hour is, will the U.S.-China tech war get worse before it gets better? According to U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, it's always a possibility that Beijing may retaliate if the White House protects its emerging industries by slapping new tariffs on Chinese-made EVs, batteries, and solar cells. Already, the U.S. and Europe are sinking hundreds of billions of dollars to produce the next generation of semiconductors at home.